Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. What? Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. If you got something to say, drop it in the comments. Don't be acting afraid. What? Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. If you got something to say, drop it in the comments. Don't be acting afraid. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know you at. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know you at. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know you at. Drop your city. Wet. Drop your city in the chat. What? Drop your city. What? Drop your city in the chat. Drop your city in the chat.
All right, y'all, let's get it. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at and hit the like button. This is part 2 of I'm going to make this a series. And this series is going to be very important to the entire Charlie Kirk case. So let's just get straight to it. Now, if you watch part 1 of this series, we talked about how Candace Owens literally escaped, and I'm using the word escape on purpose. She escaped having a handler. And I mainly talked about how she escaped having a handler for a particular reason. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But let me just get straight to this video and let's get it.
It's interesting. Somebody had pulled an old tape of me and presented it out of context of me and Charlie.
All right. So right here, this is the Sean Ryan show. And of course, Candace Owens. But listen to how somebody said I'm buffering. Hold on. Let me make sure. Everybody good? Put a 1 in the chat if everything is good. Somebody said I'm buffering. It might just be them. So I just want to make sure. All right. Put a 1 in the chat. Y'all can see me and hear me with no problem. All right. So let's get to it.
And in retrospect, it's interesting. Somebody had pulled an old tape of me and presented it out of context of me and Charlie in London, where we were asked a question about nationalism. They stripped the question and they made it look like I was on stage preaching about and saying, just wanted to be in Germany, that'd be great.
And of course, I'm blanking out what she said because I don't want any problems with YouTube.
But what I was saying was, they said, doesn't nationalism feel like a dirty word? Long story short, they made this video go viral out of nowhere. And I always now go back to that and I wonder who did that. And suddenly, a Jewish group issued a thing saying that I was anti-Semitic. It was so crazy. And donors were calling him, telling him that he needed to pull back away from me. It's so funny to think that this was another Zionist scandal. Never been accused of being an anti-Semite. And
this was
yeah,
way
this was,
before.
oh my gosh, and I was genuinely hurt. And that's how it feels the first time you're called something that you're not, before you realize it's a political game, right? When someone's first you're a racist or you're an anti-Semite, it is so shocking. I had Jewish best friends growing up. I was just going how would they ever say this? Why would BuzzFeed make this video go viral? Why is there suddenly this group? And I can't remember, it was the Simon Wiesenthal Center who issued a strong condemnation, and they have a lot of power.
So right here, a strong condemnation, and they have a lot of power. So let me break down the systematic process of how they put handlers on different people, because it's not just Candace Owens. They do this with actors. They do this with rappers, whoever it is that becomes in some type of way influential or powerful. That person then needs to be controlled. And yes, they did it with Charlie Kirk. And we're going to break this whole thing down. So we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens in particular, and how they both have handlers, but one person got away from their handler and the other person did not. So the systematic process of the scandal machine, that's what I'm calling it, okay, is how they get you, okay? So this scandal machine is used to cause a fake scandal that will then put you and any type of up and coming influential person in a compromising position where they'll probably lose their financial backing, whether it's they'll lose their job, they'll lose their supporters, they'll lose sponsorships, they'll lose like trust in their community. They'll literally possibly lose their spouse, depending on what comes out. Your own spouse might turn around and start having problems with you because now they're looking at you like, oh my God, who did I marry? Why would you say something like this? And you're sitting here saying, I didn't say it. I didn't do this. What are you talking about? Right. So that's part one. The scandal machine will literally take something that you said, and I'm going to show you proof that this actually is happening in real time. And next thing you know, you're like, yo, I didn't mean that, or I didn't say it like that. It was taken out of context. And all of a sudden, you have all these problems, and your financial backing, whoever that is, ends up pulling away from you. Number two, a handler is then sent to offer you help. Oh, I see what's going on with you. And you know what? I'll come in and help you. And then you desperately need help from anybody because you don't even know what's going on. So you accept the help, even though you don't even know who this person is. But they come to you and say, hey, I can help you keep your career afloat, help you fight the accusations, because it might even be some court stuff, help you get a lawyer. And you're like, oh my God, I appreciate that, right? Help you regain the trust of your supporters. And then at some point, number three is the entity comes in and magically makes the scandal go away. And yes, it happened with Charlie Kirk along with Candace Owens. And next thing you know, you're sitting here thinking like, wait, it just went away? Yeah, it just went away. And you're sitting here thinking like, what just happened? But in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, I got my spouse back. My family doesn't think I'm crazy. Like my supporters are back. Okay. I don't care who you are. I just appreciate you. Right. Next thing you know, number four, once you're tore down in the public, the influential person now owes a favor and their loyalty to the person that saved them. Now the person is under their control. Well, under the control of the entity, and unbeknownst to them, they're the ones that caused the scandal in the first place. All right. So that's what we're going to break down today. All right. So let's get back to what Candace is talking about, because it literally happened to Candace specifically like that.
About my words. And I'm like, why are they all intentionally not showing the full remarks of what I was answering to? I didn't even say Jewish, nothing. There were journalists in the room. There was no issue with it. And somebody very clearly went back and tried to find what they could scandalize. And I now have the perspective that this was an intentional scandal that was made whole cloth out of thin air. And to put pressure behind Charlie and to sort of pull us apart in a weird way. And so anyway, so I'm like, I was genuinely like apologizing, like, going, this is what I meant, here's the full context, here's the full video. And at the same time, who arrived into my life and made me an offer and was like, we can help you.
Here we go. We can help you. We can make it all go away. Hint, hint. Wink, wink. What's up, Shauna? We can come in and help you, and we can make it all go away. So listen to this. This is absolutely crazy. And we talked about this in the last show, but we're going to get so much more in depth with this because remember, I told you the video didn't upload last time. This is going to be crazy.
Fix This was Prager University, a Jewish organization. And they offered me much more money than I was making at Turning Point USA. And
so that they're offering her much more money that she was making at Turning Point USA. And according to another video that I'm going to play, she was making some around $1,600 a month at Turning Point USA. And she was flying across the country, doing all these different things with Charlie Kirk. And she was only making $1,600 a month. And, that's that's an okay amount of money, I guess. I don't exactly know what her position was, but depending on what she was responsible for, $1,600 a month can be absolutely a joke, or it can actually be something helpful. But if you're traveling across the country, that means you can't work anywhere else because your job is taking you away from your home, or to be able to go to a 9-to-5 job. So with all that being said, it's only $1,600, and it's not $1,600 more dollars because it's your only income, according to everything we're talking about here. So, and I'll get into that in a minute.
So it seemed like I had just gotten engaged as well. And so my ability to kind of travel the country and do those things. So it seemed like a perfect storm to kind of take the next step. And sure enough, I went to LA to meet with them. And this is now one of the stranger things that's ever happened. And I didn't think of it at the time. I was totally just baffled by the scandal. Marissa, the CEO of PragerU, took me to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. Right, she said she could help make this go away or whatever, and she took me to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. And there was this guy, I'm going to say he was like a chief rabbi. I don't know. He was dressed. He was very much the guy, if you know what I mean. They didn't speak a word of English. They spoke fluently in Hebrew. I just sat in the room as they spoke.
This is crazy.
And they went back and forth speaking in Hebrew. And then Marissa and I left, and she said everything was going to be fine. And the scandal went away.
So we're going to get into this a little farther, but I want to go to something Barron talked about, which just blew this whole situation out of the water. So shout out to Baron Coleman, and shout out to Sean Ryan also. So check this out.
Candace Owens put up a couple of tweets. NBC has a 5-hour deadline for comment on this, so tweets Candace Owens. For reference,
so we're talking about NBC right here.
NCRI. We'll talk about them in just a second. Same Zion.
NCRI. Keep that in your mind. NCRI is allegedly a company that, just wait for it,
group that brought us the Christ is King is anti-Semitic study. This time it's anyone who notices Erica Kirk keeps lying is responsible for her receiving death threats. And there is a request here for comment on a story that's going to be printed in 5 hours. Well, that's one thing she put up, and then she put another one up shortly after that. Now NBC is doing a hit piece. NBC is now citing the Sean Ryan interview as an example of conversations that are deadly to Erica. This is a real.
So right here, this company is now pushing out propaganda that is meant to make Candace look like she is inciting some type of issue, causing some type of problem, saying something that she isn't saying. So just watch the narrative unfold slowly.
Email. They say it's akin to rhetoric that caused Trump's assassination attempt. Now they're admitting left-wing rhetoric caused Trump's assassination attempt. That's a big step. Well, what is NCRI? Let's take a look at it just briefly, because we have to know who is this that's pushing this. This is the NCRI founder, Joel Finkelstein, chief science officer, co-founder of the Network Contagion Research Institute. The Network Contagion Research Institute. This is Joel Finkelstein. That's a picture there of Mr. Finkelstein. What is Joel Finkelstein?
And the name Network Contagion is crazy. The Network Contagion Research, that is crazy.
That's a picture there of Mr. Finkelstein. What is Joel? The Network Contagion Research Institute. This is
the word contagion is so crazy. Contagion? Like what?
Joel Finkelstein. That's a picture there of Mr. Finkelstein. What is Joel Finkelstein? Who funds Joel Finkelstein? Well, according to Wikipedia, We have an idea of who funds this outfit. NCRI funders included the liberal Open Societies Foundation of George Soros and the conservative Charles Cook Foundation, the Koch Foundation. It was paid $335,000 by Israel on Campus Coalition. The next year, Israeli businessman Iran Tabul stated that his organization, Hetz for Israel, has privately raised funds for NCRI. The report found that anti-Zionist campaigns and narratives on Twitter are largely anti-Semitic. Well,
See? No matter what happens, everything is anti-blank. No matter what is said, no matter what you do, if you are not completely on board with these little people, you are anti-blank. This is crazy.
What do they do? What do they do? Well, let's go to their Form 990 and find out what it is they say they do when they're talking to the U.S. federal government. Because anybody can put anything they want on a website, but when you're talking on their taxes, you've got to be honest, or at least you got to give a story they'll buy. NCRI uses its Contextus platform to embed, track, and expose the meaning of language, videos, and images. The meaning of language, videos, and images. The meaning of language, videos, and images.
That part right there is literally the systematic operation of scandalizing virtually anything you say. And you see, George Soros is a part of this. See, the thing about it is, when you start to look at the company or the entity, they always have roots, right? You have a tree, you have the tree branches that you see, but you don't see the roots. The roots are almost always the same. It's always the same people behind all of these things that you actually see. The unseen people are usually the same ones funding all of these psychological situations. George Soros, for those who don't know, he was behind Black Lives Matter, and he was causing all kinds of problems with black people and stuff. So it's always the same roots, always the same roots. So let me put this on the big screen. Back it up just a little bit.
Embed, track, and expose the meaning of language, videos, and images. The meaning of language, videos, and images. The meaning of language, videos, and images used within web communities that increasingly signify hate and encourage violence. In other words, even though what you're saying isn't hateful or violent, they will use a proprietary platform to say that what you are saying signifies hate and encourages violence, even if that's not what you're doing. But they've got a platform that'll say that's what you're doing. That's how you read that first sentence. NCRI exposes cryptic, violent, and genocidal language and symbols within social media communities and tracks the meaning and context of their coded language. Meaning and context is applied to from them. They'll tell you what your own words mean. As a result, NCRI has emerged as one of the leading authorities in the world on how social media inspired domestic terror operate.
Leading what in the world? Like, see, just because something is on paper does not mean it's true. They're the leading organization in the world. Like, who crowned them as leader of anything?
In other words, you say something like, Erica Kirk's a liar. They run those words through their platform, and they come out and say, that is cryptic, violent, and genocidal language. You are inspiring domestic terror. And there's nothing you can say about it because they're the world's leading experts.
The world leading experts. Who crowned them the world leading of anything?
The world's leading authorities. So who are we to argue with them? Don't believe me? They're one of the world's leading authorities? 2 different media publications have contacted people for quotes on this story.
What's up, Danks?
The basis of their story is that this company has determined that Candace Owens' appearance on Sean Ryan contained this coded cryptic language that was secretly telling people to go out and commit violent acts. So why are they so interested in this? Well, I found something interesting in doing a little research on NCRI.
Andrew COVID. Andrew COVID ass has a lot to do with all this stuff.
They've added someone new to their staff here in the recent past. Network Contagion Research Institute appoints Johnny Moore as a senior advisor on Middle East affairs and associate director. Look at the.
So it's Johnny Moore and Andrew COVID that has put themselves in a position And you may not know who Johnny Moore is, but you guys know who Andrew Kovic is. So what has ultimately happened with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is Tyler Boyer, and I'm going to do a video or a show about Tyler Boyer later, but Tyler Boyer, I think, is one of the first people to connect with Charlie Kirk, and kind of like, galvanize all these other people, right? Because I don't think Charlie Kirk really knew a lot of people that Andrew Kovic knew, right? So Andrew Kovic just reached out to Charlie Kirk, just like how Erica Kirk just reached out to Charlie Kirk. See, all these not foreign, but random people started wanting to work with Charlie Kirk. And unbeknownst to Charlie Kirk, you don't necessarily know that these people are actually here to take over your company and possibly get rid of you. You have no idea. So next thing you know, you start befriending these people and you don't know this whole thing is a psyop. So Moore and COVID were just like this. And Moore and COVID was working together somewhere else. And next thing you know, they separated and Moore started working for this company right here, this weird systematic scandal machine. And Andrew COVID started going after Charlie Kirk. So watch what ends up happening.
Dateline there. May 20, 2026. It's July 5. We're talking 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. The Network Contagion Research Institute today announced the appointment of Johnny Moore.
I'm Andrew Koviting. I like that.
As a senior advisor on Middle East Affairs and associate director, strengthening the Institute's leadership at a time of escalating information warfare, foreign influence operations, and domestic instability.
Y'all heard that? Information warfare. See, certain aspects of Turning Point USA is psychological warfare. That's kind of like what they work on at what is it? Fort Huachuca. They specialize in psychological warfare at Fort Huachuca, right? And this is another side of this, which is information warfare. Just another aspect of psychological warfare.
Moore brings a rare combination of operational experience, strategic insight, and global engagement across government, civil society, and international networks. His appointment reflects NCRI's continued expansion into national security. Okay, well, who is Johnny Moore? We did a whole show on him.
And shout out to Aiden for the membership. Thank you so much.
I don't want to go through the whole show we did, but we previously talked about a business he had called Kairos, K-A-R-I-O-S. And we talked about someone who helped found Kairos with him. You might recognize this feller. His name is Andrew Colvett. It's a very old picture of Andrew there. Here it is. Vice President of Communications, the Kairos Company.
All right. So remember, the Kairos Company. So the two things I want y'all to pay attention to is NCRI and the Kairos Company.
Communications marketing professional dealing with major brands, nonprofits, and high-profile thought leaders, authors, and commentators. Oh, I think I get it now. I think I get it. I think I know where we're going here. When we did our show, Johnny Moore, we showed his bio. During the Obama administration, Reverend Moore visited Capitol Hill to warn about the existential threat that a little-known terrorist group, later known as ISIS, posed to the ancient Christian communities of the Middle East.
So Reverend Moore, Johnny Moore, literally made up ISIS. ISIS did not exist. It was just another aspect of information warfare. See, they put out a lot of publications, a lot of scenarios, and next thing you know, they scared the shit out of the public. And next thing you know, we're like, oh my God, ISIS, they have sleeper cells. Oh my God. And anytime something explodes, oh my God, it was ISIS. ISIS is coming to get me. And all of this is propaganda to scare the shit out of you. And then we turn around and say, you know what? we have to go to war with this country because that's where ISIS is coming from. So if we do this to this country, the sleeper cells over here, because you are in danger too. See, the word sleeper cell, in my opinion, is another example of propaganda, because without the word or the phrase sleeper cell, why the hell would you care that a country in the Middle East doesn't like us? Who gives a shit, right? But when you throw in the phrase sleeper cell, you're like, wait, they have sleeper cells over here in my neighborhood, at my Walmart, downtown? Oh my God. Now the threat is right here on our soil. So the word sleeper cell, in my opinion, is another part of the psychological operation that makes everybody here afraid, because other than that, nobody will give a damn about what another country thinks about us, because they are so far away from us, they can't even shoot a missile over here because they so damn far. So who gives a damn, right? But the sleeper cell thing is how they get you.
Advocacy was largely met by indifference and skepticism, but he continued to raise alarm. By the fall of 2014, so 6 months or so later, ISIS had indeed embarked upon a reign of terror across Iraq and Syria, decimating ancient Christian communities. It was then that he traveled to the region himself to meet with regional leaders, including His Majesty King Abdullah of Jordan and various religious and community leaders who had been displaced by ISIS in Jordan and Iraq. That's awfully... Do you have a crystal ball? You know... One of the things Donald Trump told us was Barack Obama founded ISIS.
And then the war on terror, that's another phrase. The war on terror, ISIS. They're making up all this stuff in order to scare the shit out of us. Sleeper cells, the war on terror.
And I believe him. That's back when I could believe what he said. A lot of us think, your humble host included, that ISIS was an op, and that it was put in place in order to give us an excuse to be over there.
Yes.
Weird that Johnny Moore knew about it in advance. Not many people knew about it in advance. Johnny Moore knew about it in advance. This is Johnny Moore. This is who just joined the NCRI 6-7 weeks ago, and now they're attacking Candace Owens. This is the guy, when all those things were happening that I just read, was working with Andrew Colvett at Kairos. So this is the context you have to understand what I'm about to show you. I was actually living and working in Hollywood. I had a job working with Mark Burnett of The Voice, Celebrity Apprentice, Survivor, and Shark Tank. He was doing those projects, then at some point he got into faith-based content. I was thrown into the deep end. One day we would be at Jimmy Kimmel, or we'd be at one of the nightly shows, and then we would go to CNN, and then we'd go on Fox, and then we'd be at a church. Mark's chief of staff at the time, a guy named Johnny Moore.
So think about, this is his background. He worked with all of these other companies or these entities. All right. Celebrity Apprentice. He literally knows a lot of different people. And next thing you know, he got farther and farther and farther and farther deeper into the underbelly of the characters on these shows. See, remember earlier I talked about how Candace Owens is not the only influential person or the only famous person that gets stalked by a handler. A lot of these people, they work around different, TV shows, right? So a person becomes popular, a person becomes famous because they're on the Celebrity Apprentice, right? You already know what the Celebrity Apprentice is, right? So say you become popular off of that show. Next thing you know, you end up in a scandal because of your fame. And all of a sudden, you're all over the tabloids because a company like NCRI turns around and runs a mini scandal about you just to scare the shit out of you, just to make sure you don't, gain a lot of control. And then all of a sudden, a handler that probably has been stalking you because, like you see, Johnny Moore is in the background of a lot of these major shows. So you're on this show thinking that, you're here to, build your brand and become famous. You have no idea that people like Johnny Moore are literally working behind the scenes of the show that you're on, no matter what the show is, Survivor or any of these shows. And next thing you know, oh yeah, and then of course, Celebrity Apprentice is Trump. That's another aspect of it, right? Do you see the roots? The roots are always the same, right? So you're on Survivor, you're on Celebrity Apprentice, you're on whatever, Real Housewives of Potomac, right? Whatever. And you become famous. And then you start speaking different places. You start getting acting gigs. And now people start seeing you as somebody that women or men look up to. And then you are now influential. Now, a Johnny Moore type of person, because it's not just Johnny Moore, it's a lot of different people. They cause a scandal with you, with your newfound fame, scare the hell out of you. You start losing money. You start losing opportunities. And all of a sudden, somebody has been stalking you through this whole time, and they pull up on you and they say, hey, I'm so-and-so. Is everything okay? I see you in the tabloids. I see you everywhere. And I recognize you from the tabloids. And I'm just here to make sure that you're okay. I'm so-and-so from so-and-so. I have a nonprofit, and I just want to make sure that you're supported. And I just want to make sure I see you and acknowledge that, hey, there's somebody out there that cares about you. And you're like, oh my God, a person that actually sees me for who I am instead of the scandal, right? Because the scandal is causing you to look like an abuser or a weirdo, or, I don't know, eat toilet tissue or something. This person actually sees me as the person that I really am. Oh my God, thank you. No problem. What do you need? I just want to make sure you're okay. I have a non-profit, and I can just add you to the payroll and until you get on your feet. Wait, you'll do that for me? Oh, wow. Thank you. Yes, I really appreciate it. I'm about to lose my house, lose my wife, lose everything. I got you. And then they come in and they take care of some things for you, and then they just go away. Or either the secondary person would make the scandal go away. So you have two different entities. You have the first entity that would pay your bills, fund your life, keep you up until, up above water before you just fall apart. And then you have another entity that would come in and just make the whole thing go away. All right. So depending on who you are, depending on who they are, you'll either get the combo package. When you got one person use the money, then they bring you to the other person like Candace did, and they make it all go away. Or another person that just comes in and just funds you until the scandal goes away on its own. All right. And that's what Candace was literally talking about a second ago.
Started a PR company. He asked me to start it with him. This is the guy.
He started a PR company. So think about this. He worked for all these companies, and now he started a PR company. Why? Because that's his thing. His goal is to get in the underbelly of all of this famous people stuff. So then, now you know this person, you know that person, you know what, you know all these different people, right? And now you start a PR company, and you just wait for all these people, or either cause all these people to have many scandals. And then your PR company is now in charge of fixing everybody's scandal, even though you're the actual person that actually runs a scandal machine, causing people to have the scandals in the first place.
I had a job working with Mark Burnett of The Voice, Celebrity Apprentice.
The Voice, Apprentice,
Survivor, and Shark Tank.
Survivor, Shark Tank.
He was doing those projects. Then at some point he got into faith-based content.
Think about this. Say you go on Shark Tank and you have something, right? I go on Shark Tank with my car game, and one of the guys up there may say, Mr. Wonderful or whoever, and says, you know what? give me 20% of your company and I'll give you blah, 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 right? And then I'm now famous because of my card games and because I was on Shark Tank, and I am now super powerful and influential or whatever, and I'm Mr. Card Game person, right? And I'm feeling good. Everything's great, right? And then all of a sudden, they create a scandal. And boom, my card games are no longer selling. Mr. Wonderful pulls out of the situation because he says, hey, I'm just going to back off because you're a little too hot right now. And I do not want you to be affiliated with my brand because I'm still on Shark Tank. And what you just did, but I didn't do anything. Hey, I'm sorry. In the contract, it literally states that if you get caught up in a scandal, I can do A, B, and C. So I'm out of here. Right here in paperwork. If you get caught up in a scandal, I can do this or do that. And you're like, oh my God, I just lost my financial backing and I got all these orders and I got all this other stuff and I got all this inventory and nobody's buying. And then Mr. Wonderful just left. What do I do? And then, of course, here comes a PR person and says, I got you.
I was thrown into the deep end. One day we would be at Jimmy Kimmel, or we'd be at one of the nightly shows, and then we would go to CNN, and then we'd go on Fox, and then we'd be at a church. Mark's chief of staff at the time, a guy named Johnny Moore, started a PR company. He asked me to start it with him. This is the guy who just joined NCRI, the company who 6 weeks after he joins it begins launching an attack on Candace Owens and planting stories in the news about how what Candace Owens is saying is putting Erica Kirk in danger, even though all Candace Owens is doing is covering the news.
All right, so now let's get back to Candace Owens, and I got another video of Baron Coleman. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Let's go.
What?
It sounds so crazy.
Back it up just a little bit.
To the Simon Wiesenthal Center. Right? She said she could help make this go away or whatever. And she took me to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. And there was this guy, I'm going to say he was like a chief rabbi. I don't know. He was dressed. He was very much the guy, if you know what I mean. They didn't speak a word of English. They spoke fluently in Hebrew. I just sat in the room as they spoke, and they went back and forth speaking in Hebrew. And then Marissa and I left, and she said everything was going to be fine. And the scandal went away.
What?
All right, quick commercial break, and then we'll get back to it.
If you had one wish involving us, what would it be?
That we got along better.
Okay.
The day that you told me, like, I was so happy for you, my mindset toward you completely changed. I think after you had her, you realized, like, how hard it is to be a mom. And, like, when you look back at things that maybe, like, made you mad at me, you realize, like, okay, well, that is hard.
I just bought this mother-daughter card game because I came to the realization that my issues with my mom are not resolved, so I decided to do something about it. I just played this card game with my mom, and we both literally broke down crying. Here's the card game right here. Buy it. Every woman needs this. You won't regret it.
All right. So make sure to get my card game. If you have any issues with your mother, or if you have anybody in your family that has issues with their mother, because I know a lot of women that they literally either have issues with their mother or their sister has issues with her mother. And because of that, because she loves her mother differently than her sister, her and her sister don't necessarily get along. And we're talking about psychological warfare. Sometimes certain mothers would psychologically keep sisters away from each other because one sister does everything that the mother wants, and the other sister is like the rebellious one. So the mother psychologically manipulates one sister to not like the other sister. So the other one can't manipulate the other one. So they both will rise up against the mother. So this card game would literally help everybody in the family, because there's a lot of family issues that a lot of people have. And I am here to give you an understanding of not what's wrong, but what can be fixed, because there's always a solution to every problem. Yes, I'm working on the app. I am working on the app. Everybody's asking me about the app. Yes, I'm working on the app. It's some legal stuff I got to work on. So yes, I'm still working on that. All right, so let's get to it.
It sounds so crazy that I did not even appreciate that it was crazy at the time, because I just was like, thank you, friend, because I can't believe anybody would ever think I was anti-Semitic. And so I was.
See, she says, thank you, friend, because when a person comes out of nowhere and offers you help and makes something go away, you instantly become loyal to the person, because you're like, wow, even my family turned their back on me. So you're now my best friend because everybody turned their back on me except for you. Unbeknownst to you, they are the ones that caused the problem.
So grateful. And I thought she was like using her contacts and being, because the Simon Wiesenthal Center had issued this whatever, and that she was coming in to like basically tell them it's not true. I don't know what they were. I didn't know what they were saying. Went away. Now I'm like, was it like, I'll handle this. We've pulled them apart. It's all good. She's going to come work for me now.
Targeted? Why do you think you were targeted?
So right here, she's about to talk about Charlie Kirk, and then we're going to get into how they manipulated Charlie Kirk and how it all has a lot to do with this Tyler Robinson case. So right here, one of the reasons why they started this scandal is to pull her and Charlie Kirk away from each other, because as you already know, like I've been talking about, her and Charlie Kirk was working together back in 2022, 2023, and she was only making $1,600 a month, and she was broke and she was having financial issues. She was just trying to, just keep it together. And all of a sudden this situation happened, and damn, I forgot the name of the company, but the company came in, PragerU came in and offered her more money because she was having financial problems, and she built a relationship with all these people. And then this scandal happened because even though she was working with PragerU, she was still working with Charlie. So they needed Charlie away from Candace, because according to what I'm hearing, Candace is the enemy of their cash cow. So to keep Candace and Charlie like this is going to hurt the PSYOP. So they needed to pull them away from each other. So one, they offered her a job that will give her more money than Turning Point USA was making, but she was still over there with Charlie, even though Charlie wasn't paying her shit. And next thing you know, they're like, damn, okay, so we're giving her more money, but she's still over there with Charlie. All right. Unleash the Kraken. And all of a sudden, boom, the scandal hit. And then that actually caused Charlie and his people to say, all right, even though I love Candace, I need to pull away from Candace. And that's kind of like what they're talking about right here. Hit a like button, hit a like button, hit a like button, hit a like button.
Tax and being, because the Simon Wiesenthal Center had issued this whatever, and that she was coming in to like basically tell them it's not true. I don't know what they were. I didn't know what they were saying. Went away. Now I'm like, was it like, I'll handle this. We've pulled them apart. It's all good. She's going to come work for me now.
Targeted? Why do you think you were targeted to begin with?
I think there is, and I'm fully in just reflecting on the way things went down. Erica came into Charlie's life. A bunch of people were suddenly being put into Turning Point USA. Girlfriend, Stacey Sheridan, she's going to raise more money and take things to the next level. Andrew Colvett, you need like real PR now. I mean, just like all of these characters, like a Hollywood cast was suddenly assembled. And I think there was a real panic about the power of any organization. You hit a level and they start paying attention. And I think the Kanye tweet put us on the map. They started paying attention. This could be a very powerful political organization. We need to make sure that it's within our control.
Gotcha.
And I was always
presented you PragerU to control you.
I that is my perspective in retrospect. And I did not have that perspective while I was there. And I also want to make it very clear, I had a very good working relationship there. It was not, I will say they were always honest about who they were. Like their Zionist, Marissa's former Mossad, so.
Wait, what? What? Huh? You just gonna just say that and then just move on like you didn't say nothing? What? Marissa is Zionist and former Mossad, and you think that's okay? You're just gonna laugh it off? What? Did y'all hear that?
They were never trying to pretend that they had, like, they were open to a different perspective on Israel or anything like that.
But okay, so why, if you knew this, why did you work with them? I got love for Candace. And sometimes I'd be like, why did you do it? Why did you take the money? Why did you start working with them if that is what? Because sometimes you would think like this person doesn't know, or they don't know the whole story. And you just think that they're nice people. But she just admitted that what? I'm backing it up a little bit.
Put us on the map. They started paying attention. This could be a very powerful political organization. We need to make sure that it's within our control.
Gotcha.
And
And
I
so
was
then they
always
presented you, Prager you to control you.
So listen, here it is right here.
That is my perspective in retrospect. And I did not have that perspective while I was there. And I also want to make it very clear, I had a very good working relationship there.
They had a very good working relationship there. All right. So there was never any dissension. They never fell out. See, these words are important. They never fell out. They never had a bad working relationship. So think about this.
It was not, I will say they were always honest about who they were.
That means from day one, when she started working with PragerU, she knew exactly who they were. Remember, she accepted the job before the scandal. She was working at PragerU, and then the scandal happened. So this means that you are totally open to working with these weirdos. And also Turning Point USA, where they were weirdos also, because we all know that, they allegedly, and this ain't, I'm going to say allegedly for the record, but allegedly after their festivals, what is the Turning Point USA festival, whatever the hell it was, I forgot, Amfest, they'll have these grinder parties, allegedly. So right after Amfest, regardless of what year it was, allegedly, they all would just have parties and start fucking each other, allegedly. So you got Turning Point USA doing all this crazy shit. And since going back to 2018, Tyler Boyer has been, under fire for doing all kinds of crazy stuff with, boys, you know what I'm saying? So Turning Point USA already had this weird grinder type of stench on it, and she was working over there. And now PragerU, according to her, has the same or a different type of stench on it, and she's working with PragerU. And I'm thinking like, maybe she didn't know. Maybe she was just a friend of Charlie, and she didn't see all the stupid stuff that Tyler Boyer was doing and all these other people in the grinder parties or whatever. I'm sure Candace wasn't going to the grinder parties, so maybe she just didn't know. But this is the first time I heard Candace say, I knew everything. Bro. So these are her words, y'all. Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button.
Prager you to control you.
That is my perspective in retrospect. And I did not have that perspective while I was there. And I also want to make it very clear, I had a very good working relationship there. It was not, I will say they were always honest about who they were. Like they're Zionists, Marissa's former Mossad,
And she laughs. Marissa, the person that actually took her to the people where they started speaking in a different language, and then poof, the scandal went away. That's the person that she's talking about, who Marissa is. So Marissa is, according to her, former Mossad that made the scandal just go away just like that. and she had a good working relationship with them.
So they were never trying to pretend that they had, like, they were open to a different perspective on Israel or anything like that, or like anything. They were upfront about who they were and what their priorities were. And Marissa was very kind. Like, if she was a handler, she was damn good. That's why she probably was in the Mossad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the best kind of handlers is one that's...
The best kind of handlers? Come on, man. The best kind of handlers to have? It's kind of a black person saying, well, yeah, the best type of slave owners to have is Mr. Charlie, because he lets us live in the barn instead of doing this and doing that. Like, he's a very fair slave owner. What? What are we doing?
You think is your friend. She was there for me.
So can a handler be your friend? Because a key to a handler is to control you and to handle you. See, an assistant assists. A handler handles. Words mean everything. What?
Through a really tough personal time in my life as well. And so that was a hard relationship for me to mourn in many ways, because I'm naturally, not looking, I don't open up to people about tough things that I go through.
So right here, she's literally saying that whoever this Marissa person is, Mossad person, she had to mourn the loss of that friendship because they didn't fall out and they were so close. And she said she helped her through a tough time. But this interview was last week. Is it that there's a possibility that Candace doesn't know that they were orchestrating this whole situation themselves? And maybe the scandal was forced upon you by the same people that made it go away? NCRI? And this is the reason why I'm doing this live stream. And I'm going to do probably 3 more parts to this, because this includes a lot of other people also. So this is going to be my systematic scandal machine series. I got to come up with a cool name for it. But Candace just did this interview. So this is Candace now, not Candace back then. Is Candace literally saying that she is not aware that an outside source, outside company purposely ran her through the blender and put her in a scandal and spun her around, taking away different opportunities just so Marissa can come in and save the day? Because if that is actually the case, Marissa isn't your friend, Candace, because Marissa may have had something to do with putting you in the blender in the first place. Imagine getting dropped in a blender and you're like, you spinning around, and then a person pulls you out of the blender. Oh my God, thank you. And then you realize they're the ones that dropped you in there. I'm trying to get an understanding of what's going on, because she just did this interview a week ago. So this is Candace now, not Candace then.
And she was there for me for a really tough time.
But what if she caused the tough time? What do y'all think of the chat? Do you think Marissa caused the tough time? Yes or no in the chat? Do you think Marissa caused the tough time that Candace Owens was in? Maybe she's talking about another tough time. I don't know.
We had a perfect working relationship, so I don't want people to think that because of where I'm at right now, you go backwards and you're like, oh, well, things were not. No, it was like, they were fantastic. They ran very professionally. I had a great relationship with their COO, Lane, Thrasher. They were all just great. I mean, I don't know what to say. I had a perfect, she never wanted to talk about contracts. She was like, if you don't want to be here, then you should go. Like, it's not going to work for me to hold you here like you're a prisoner.
Okay, that's kind of that's kind of cool. You know, I'm not gonna lie about that.
I loved PragerU. It was great. Did that for a couple of years. Then again, kind of like a new season of life. Had my first kid. Now,
Hold on. Let's go back. How'd you meet your husband?
with Charlie. This is a crazy story, but the same exact week that Charlie was having these dreams about dying.
So I want to stay on this subject. I don't want to move on to Charlie yet. I don't want to move on to Charlie yet, but I want to play this. I played this in the last video, but for those who didn't see that last video, I want to play this because shout out to Coach Colin, because remember, Candace is talking about she was going through tough times. Okay. So before we get into Charlie Kirk and his tough times, let's stay on Candace Owens' tough times, because maybe this is the tough time that she's talking about and not the scandal. So check this out. And shout out to Coach Colin.
Like a handler situation, right? Just listen to what he says he does with Candace. This is as Candace was very young and just getting into the game. Listen to this.
You know, I've known Candace for a long time, like since way before she was famous. And I first met her at a Turning Point event. She was literally sitting by herself. This shows you how unfamous she was. She was sitting by herself at breakfast.
So this may be one of the tough times that Candace was talking about. I'm not sure. But this was a tough time.
My wife and I went over to chat with her. And I have a habit of when I see young people coming up in politics, and especially if you see somebody who flips from the left to the right, everybody thinks it's cool. Like, oh, they're getting famous. They're on Fox News. They're on Daily Wire, Blaze, whatever. It's like so cool. And they're so popular.
So at this point, according to him, Candace Owens was on Fox News, Daily Wire, and all these other, places or whatever. So she was somewhat famous, not uber famous, but somewhat famous, right? And like I said earlier, for a lot of people, they end up not necessarily making the money that their fame kind of like constitutes. So you're famous up here, but you're making money down here. And then what happens is, the part of this that nobody really wants to talk about is when you're famous, you can't get a normal job because everybody knows you. And they're like, why are you here? Like, you're working at UPS. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do to pay your bills. But if you're famous, you're a freaking actor. Imagine somebody like Brad Pitt working at UPS. Like, that would be that'd be absolutely ludicrous, right? But this is the jail cell you end up being in because so they make you famous on purpose. See, I don't necessarily want to be famous because life is up and down, and I want my products to become famous. I don't necessarily care about being on all these different podcasts and being on Oprah or whatever the hell, because once I become famous, it's just certain things I can't do. It's certain places I can't live. I like my life. I live way out in the suburbs, so I live away from people now. But you become famous, now you got to live in this palatial gated community away from like everybody. And you got to live around other rich people, even though you're not rich, right? Because you feel the need to like separate yourself from the regular people, So I live out in the suburbs in a really nice neighborhood, but I'm still around regular people. I go to the grocery store, people recognize me. I go to Walmart or whatever, So I go around and people recognize me, but I'm not recognized in a way that I'm famous. So I don't necessarily care to be famous, because then say I gotta go get a job or something. I don't want somebody to be like, oh, you're Mr. Like, so this fame puts you in a bad situation sometime. And this is what they're talking about. Candace Owens, according to the guy, it's not Candace Owens. Yeah, like Monique. Yeah, Monique has been out of the limelight for maybe 20 years. Am I wrong? The actor Monique, the comedian Monique, she ain't doing nothing. And as a woman, you can get married to somebody and just be their wife, but Yeah, fame is about control. They like, hey, I'm gonna make you famous, and you're like, ooh, I'm famous. I don't want to be famous. See, that's one of the reasons why that whoever they are, if I start growing, they're not gonna have a good time trying to control me because I don't want it. I remember Jay-Z. One of the things Jay-Z always said, which scared the shit out of me, is he would say, I will not lose. Well, I'm going to lose. I don't want to put that on me, like I will never lose. Because when they hear you say, I will not lose, I will do anything for fame, then they're like, we got him. Because his ego is telling him he will never lose. So all we have to do is make it where he will never lose and he will be indebted to us. I want to lose. Okay. I'm totally okay with losing. Like I'm losing now. If y'all been following me, I'm used to having like 2,000-3,000 people watching at one time. So YouTube is shadow banning my content. So I'm losing right now. Right. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, 300-400 people watching versus 2,000-3,000 people watching. It was a time where I'll get off my live stream and I'm at 100,000 views within a 2-hour period of me jumping on my live stream. So life is up and down. So when you turn around and become so famous where now you can't lose because your ego can't bear it, now it puts me or you in a position where you have to go to an outside source to make you appear to not lose, because you're going to lose. It's just like a football team or a basketball team. You're going to lose. You're not going to win every game. There's ups and downs. There's certain times that you're not even going to make the playoffs. Then the next month, next year, next season, you might win the Super Bowl. Life is a series of ups and downs. So I just wanted to say that.
It sucks to be them at that point. It's really hard. Everybody they know that they knew from their former life hates them, is attacking them. They're being, everybody's on them on the right. We love you. You're incredible. By the way, they're usually going broke at that point in their lives because every other way that they could make money in the past, all those people now hate them. Nobody's paying them. You go on Fox News, you're not getting paid to be on Fox News or whatever you're doing that's making you famous. And so I just tend to go up to him like, I just want him to.
This guy, his name is Mark Meckler. Mark Meckler, pretty rich guy, runs a nonprofit, kind of has the same feel as like
shout out to Coach Colin,
somebody who's running. It's not a church organization, but it has the kind of same nonprofit feel as like Rob McCoy, Frank Turk, even Charlie Kirk, things like that. This guy said famously that if you turn your back on Philadelphia, then you're turning your back on Western society.
And Philadelphia, as you already know, is the country that starts with an I that nobody can talk about. I call them IHOPia. He calls them Philadelphia.
Just to give you a little...
if you don't know who Philadelphia is, ask somebody in the chat.
Little tidbit of where he stands. Seems like one of these rich guys that's very affiliated with Philadelphia and is kind of like Ben Shapiro-like,
And shout out to the real Amoroso. Thank you for becoming a member.
Ben Shapiro is like, he's American and it seems like he's in it for America. And then you watch him for a little while and you're like, oh, you're really not. You're really not at all. You're kind of a spokesperson for this other nation. And you just being American is the only reason you don't have to register as a foreign agent. Anyway, let's keep going.
Like if you need anything, I've been through this.
If you need anything, so just to keep everybody up to snuff or up to what's going on, Candace is over there by herself eating, and then he comes over and in some type of way, Candace, kind of says she's not doing too well financially. And he's like, if you need anything, me and my wife will come in and save the day. And there's a possibility, I don't want to put this on this Meckler guy because I don't know him, but there's a possibility, like I said earlier, there's a possibility that these people, these handlers, stalk you. And they see you when you go to a restaurant. They see you when you go to this networking event. They see you go here. They see you go there. And then when you go there, they have access to you. Because how is it that I want y'all to think about this. This man is a multi-millionaire. And at this particular point, Candace is broke. She can't even afford to fix her car, according to him. How is a multi-millionaire in the same restaurant with a person that is broke? Has anybody thought about that? Let's back it up a little. I just want y'all to think about this. This man is a multi-millionaire.
You know, you're kind of a spokesperson for this other nation, and you just
What's his name? Meckler? Hold on, can somebody look up his net worth?
American, and it seems like he's in it for America. And then you watch
Hold on. I'm going to fast forward. I just want to find out his name.
Rob McCoy, Frank Turk, even Charlie Kirk, things like that. This guy said famously that if you turn your back, who's running Meckler, pretty rich guy, runs
Be on Fox News or whatever you're doing that's making you famous. And so I just tend to go up to him like, I just want him to.
This guy, his name is Mark Meckler.
All right. What is Mark Meckler's net worth?
There's no public information available about the
Mark Meckler. Mark Meckler of Turning Point USA. I'm just going. I got to find out who this Meckler guy is. Meckler. Here we go. It's not publicly disclosed. Okay. Okay. So it doesn't really say. It just, I don't know. So I don't know. But according to Coach, he's a millionaire. So I don't know. So the thing about it is, if Mark Meckler is a multimillionaire, which I think he is, because, you know, you Googling somebody's net worth, you look at my net worth, it won't say none either. So the Google does not know everybody's net worth, right? Especially if they're not famous. So let's say Mark Meckler is a millionaire. Why in Sam hell is Mark Meckler and his wife, so it was somewhat of a date night at a restaurant that a broke person is at? Candace Owens at that point. It just doesn't make sense. Millionaires don't go to Applebee's. Okay, so Real Amoroso says 2.9 million. I was wrong, like normal. Okay, so if you're worth 2.9 million, you might go to Applebee's or wherever this restaurant was, but you're not taking your wife to Applebee's. Y'all are going to somewhere a little nicer in your city. So how in the hell is an alleged, I don't know, multi-millionaire be at a restaurant that Candace is at, and most likely Candace is at this restaurant because she just needs something to eat, and most likely it's not expensive. Why are they at the same restaurant? So my point is, there's a possibility that they are stalking Candace, and they came up to Candace because they knew Candace was about to go to this restaurant. That's my point. So let me fast forward back.
You know how Ben Shapiro is like, watch him for a little while, and you're like, oh, you're really not. You're really not at all. You know, you're kind of a spokesperson for this other nation, and you just.
Yeah, I think Candace comes back tomorrow. I'm not sure.
Candace, and it was fine. We had a nice conversation. And then about 6 weeks later, I just felt compelled to call and check on her. You said something which I think is so true. If you spend any time with Candace,
Handler vibes. I felt compelled to come and check on her. Doesn't even know her.
Candace, you know she's extraordinary.
Okay.
I mean, she oozes charisma. She's articulate. She's intelligent. She's pretty. I mean, she's the full package as a broadcaster. And so I knew she was going to be really famous. So I called her up and just said, hey, how's it going? And she was frank. And she said, not great. And I said, what's going on? And she was telling me it's just rough. I'm having a hard time making it. And I said, well, this time I have kind of a litmus test question with up and comers. Like, what would happen if your car broke down tomorrow? And Candace told me, oh, I'd be screwed. Like, I can't I couldn't afford a car repair. And she said, in fact, I have a tire that's flat right now. I can't repair it. I literally, so here she
Yeah, Applebee's has a 2 for $25.
is. She's becoming famous. She's traveling around talking for TP USA. She's making virtually no money.
No
She
money.
can't fix her tire on her car. And so I offered to help her with that. And I started paying her. Like, this is a story I've never told publicly.
Wow.
And I just said, well, what do you need to survive? And she said, well, I'm getting paid $1,600 a month. My rent is more than that. I'm watching my YouTube for monetization. How much do you need? She said, I need about $1,000 a month to survive. And I said, okay, well, I'll pay you $2,000. And she said, well, for what? And I said, just do what you're doing. Because she was extraordinary.
Just do what you're doing. Just do what you're doing. And what she was doing, remember, she was working with Turning Point USA. And at that time, Turning Point USA was on the side of IHOPIA in Philadelphia. And they were pushing a narrative for IHOPIA. And they weren't on our side. They were pushing for Trump, remember? So that's kind of like what he's saying about keep doing what you're doing what you're doing. That's the reason why he was funding her.
And
She was extraordinary. And when she was in her younger days, like when she was around Charlie Kirk, she was very pro what? She was very pro what? She's very pro Philadelphia back then. So just keep on doing what you're doing. That's it. Just keep on doing what you're doing. I'll pay you. You don't even have to work for me. That means something that she's doing currently in that state is benefiting him. It's not just conservative values. Now, that's just my opinion because this guy gives me serious handler vibes.
just, we could afford it out of our nonprofit. I put her on the budget. I started paying her. And she at some point said, oh, do you want me to endorse convention of states? I said, I mean, if you want to, but that's not what I'm not doing.
I'm going to bring it back a few seconds. He says he puts her on the payroll or puts her on the budget of his nonprofit. Just a little window into what nonprofits could be doing that you have no idea about. They could find someone that they just like, and they can just be like, put them on the budget. And just, that money that we're gathering, because we're a nonprofit, they can just have some of that. We can throw that around. I like that this kid is defending Philadelphia. So you know what? Put him on the payroll.
Put him on the payroll. Yeah. And this is the sad thing about this, y'all. It's like everything is fake. Everything is fake. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button.
Who's to say that hasn't happened with a bunch of these voices that we've seen, especially?
Somebody said, where is her husband? She's not married yet. This is probably back in 2023. All right. So looking at the timeline, she just started working with Turning Point USA. She's making $1,600 a month. This is before she started working with PragerU. Remember, she literally said when she started working for PragerU with the little Marissa lady that was Mossad, she started making more money. So this is when, because this is what he said, this is when she was working with Turning Point USA, making $1,600 a month, and her rent was higher than her own payroll or her paycheck.
The young ones, where you look at them and they're not.
Yeah, she got married in 2019. Wait, she got married in 2019? Huh. Hold on. Let's see. When did Candace Owens get married?
Candace Owens
Okay,
married
2019. When did Candace Owens first start working with PragerU?
Candace Owens started working with PragerU in early 2019.
2019. Okay. When did Candace Owens first start working with Turning Point USA?
According to Wikipedia, Owens was
2017.
communications director for the conservative advocacy group Turning Point USA, TPUSA, from 2017 to 2019. In 2018, Owens co-founded the Blexit Foundation along with former Tucson police officer Brandon Tatum.
Okay, so we're looking at the timeline of 2017. Okay, so just to understand the timeline. So most likely I was wrong. 2023. This was probably 2017. So she's in a restaurant, not making a lot of money, traveling with Turning Point USA, which is probably not making a lot of money. And I have the timeline, the financial timeline of Turning Point USA also. So let me know if y'all want to see that, and y'all will be able to see the financials of Turning Point USA back in I don't think I got Turning Point USA back in 2017, but I will check though.
Getting any traction, so it doesn't make sense. They can't be getting paid just from what they do online, but yet they still exist. That could easily be happening. Paralyzed. Yeah, exactly. Gary, not saying that's happening with Gary.
He said, well, for what? And I said, just do what you're doing. Because she was extraordinary. And I just, we could afford it out of our nonprofit. I put her on the budget. I started paying her. And she at some point said, oh, do you want me to endorse Convention of States? I said, I mean, if you want to, but that's not why I'm not doing this for that reason. I'm doing it because you're a talent. You're important. I think you're going to be famous and do really great things. I just want to help. So I paid her. I don't remember exactly whether it was a month or two. It was relatively short. And one day I got a text from her that was like the most vicious text I've ever received from anybody in my entire life. I mean, just cut me to the bone. Said something like, I don't think you are who you say you are. I don't think you're genuine. Don't ever talk to me again.
So we have Jeremy Boring. We have Mark Meckler.
You think they look shady. You are absolutely just.
All right, so let's look at the finances of Turning Point USA real quick. I don't know what year it starts at, but let's see. 8.6 million.
USA is the main one. Then we have Turning.
I'm specifically, this is about Tyler Boyer, but I'm looking for dates.
2. It's also where the money was coming from.
The party.
Profit.
An event planner. How's that even?
All right, so let's see. What year is this? What year is this? Can y'all see the year? It's stuff blocking my screen. All right, hold on. Let me put it on big screen. All right, let's see. 2013. Wait, $85 million in 2013? Hold on, y'all. Is that what it says? That's interesting. I didn't know I went back to 2013. All right, let's see.
Possible. Huh?
It's not, unless it's fraud. Look at this mess. Look at this right here. This is absolutely crazy.
Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA shows a 4% increase. Remember that Turning Point USA is the main organization with Charlie Kirk as president.
So now let's see. We're looking at 2013 because I'm looking at the back in the day. Okay, so 2024 they made $85 million, right? So let's see. So 24, 23, 22, 21, 2019. So looks like in 2018 and 2019, Turning Point USA was still making $20 to $40 million. 3, 2, 1. 2019, 2018. So 2017. Okay. So as you can see right here, in 2017, they weren't really making any money. Because I'm looking at it right now. They're not making a lot of money. 2018. So they don't really start really making a lot of money until like 2020. Okay. So I just wanted to get an understanding of their finances. Put a 1 in the chat if you're able to see the screen well enough to be able to see how in 2013 or 2014 they didn't make shit. Put a 1 in the chat if you can actually see that, because I know the screen is a little smaller. But yeah, so that gives you an understanding of how much money Turning Point made throughout the years. Put a 1 in the chat if you're able to see my screen good enough to see that in 2017 they were making a very low amount of money compared to any millions. All right, put a 1 in the chat if you can see that. All right, so I just want to make sure, because y'all can see that. Okay, cool. So now I can move on. I just wanted to make sure. I'll talk about Tyler Boyer in another live. Okay, so let's get back to this.
Let me just pay you $2,000 a month for absolutely no reason. And we have Gary, and then we have someone who looks like a shaved Matt Walsh. Looks like Matt Walsh.
This is, and that's the last time I ever talked to Candace, right? But it was my first evidence that she's psycho.
So Candace woke up pretty early and said, sir, you're trying to be my handler. You're trying to give me some money in order for me to do this and do that. I'm out of here. So she cut the guy off and went about her business. Okay. So now let's get back to the Candace, and then we're going to talk about Baron.
Or where he was really deeply talking to me about it. I mean, he had the dreams over and over again, he said, from the time he signed with Turning Point. But he was like, it was a lot of things happened that week. One, by the end of the week, Kanye tweeted me. Okay. Two, I had this in the same way he was like, I'm going to die. I was just like, we need to get to London. We need to go to the UK. No reason. We had no reason, no rhyme or reason to go to the UK. And I just started hammering him in April, being like, we need to go to the UK, we need to go to the UK, we need to go to the UK.
So this right here is in 2019 or maybe 2018.
June comes around. I'm hammering him. We need to go to the UK. He's like, for what? And I'm just like, just make up something to be there. I just feel like pulled to go to the UK. I have the messages. It's so crazy to read back. And so eventually I am feeling so pulled to go to the UK that I say to him, give me your credit card. I'm just going to book the flights, because then you'll be forced to just make a reason for us to go to the UK. Like, now we're going to the UK, so find something for us to do. And he was like, well, I've been wanting to like build out Turning Point UK and kind of build out this international thing. So we were hosted by, who are now dear friends to us, John Mappin and Arena Mappin. Charlie had been emailing with them, and they said, we'd love to host you because we need Turning Point in the UK. And I spoke. This is also the same event that they would eventually pull the out of context comments from. So this is also the same event that they would eventually pull the out of context comments from. So this is December.
So remember about the out of context comments.
Voice, Celebrity Apprentice, Survivor, and Shark. Businessman Iran Tabul stated that his organization, Hetz for Israel, Finkelstein, who funds Joel Finkelstein. Well, according to Wikipedia, we have an idea of who funds this outfit.
Hold on.
A hit piece. NBC is now citing the Sean Ryan interview as an example of conversations that are deadly to Erica. This is a real email. They say it's akin to rhetoric that caused Trump's assassination attempt. Deadline for comment on this. So tweets Candace. Contagion Research Institute. This is
all right. Here it is right here.
Contagion Research Institute. This is Joel Finkelstein. That's a picture there of Mr. Finkelstein. What is Joel Finkelstein? Who funds Joel Finkelstein? Well,
so Joel Finkelstein is part of NCRI. So when certain things go out of context in order to, start a scandal, this is what actually happens.
Just briefly, because we have to know who is this that's pushing this. This is the...
Okay. Where is it?
To embed, track, and expose.
All right, here it is right here. This is what I was looking for right here. Listen to this.
Form 990 and find out what it is they say they do when they're talking to the U.S. federal government. Because anybody can put anything they want on a website, but when you're talking on their taxes, you've got to be honest, or at least you got to give a story they'll buy. NCRI uses its Contextus platform to embed, track, and expose the meaning of language, videos, and images. The meaning of language, videos, and images. The meaning of language, videos, and images.
So that's exactly what happened with Candace right here.
The same event that they would eventually pull the out of context comments from. So this is also the same event that they would eventually pull the out of context comments from.
Y'all see that, right?
So this is December, and then they would pull these comments in March of the following year. And
so NCRI did this to her.
And he got together a great group, and I presented on stage, and my husband was in the audience. So it was really cute. And at the end, he came up to me and he said, hi, I'm George Farmer. And I was like, George Farmer's pretty cute. I suddenly realized, I am told by my assistant that I'm running 3 hours late to a dinner that I didn't even know was happening. Happened, important political players, a nice small intimate dinner of like maybe 18, maybe even smaller, maybe like 15 people. And I walk into this dinner and George Farmer is hosting the dinner, because he wanted to get behind Turning Point UK, because him and his father were very involved with Brexit at the time. And his father was at one time the treasurer for the Tory party. So they were involved in politics, and he just thought Turning Point UK was a great idea. And he was helping his friend PJW put together a little dinner for Charlie and Candace, and George Farmer is there. We sit down. I sit down next to my husband, future husband. And I'm telling you, I just looked at his face and I knew he was it was the craziest thing. I just knew he was my husband. He was thinking the same thing. Like, he knew that I was his wife and had already texted his friend after hearing me speak the night before.
So the reason why I'm playing this right here is something I talked about earlier in part 1. The thing or the person that saved Candace Owens from her handlers is her husband. And in my opinion, she felt afraid. What's up, Teresa? Thank you for becoming a new subscriber. I think, just my opinion, she felt like she needed a husband. Because we men are very important. And she felt like, I can't just keep going through life by myself. I need a husband. I'm out here struggling. I'm out here like dodging bullets. Like, I'm in scandals and I'm dealing with all these Mossad people. I need structure. And then, you know, she felt it in her heart to travel out to the UK with Charlie. And Charlie was like, why are we going to the UK? We just need to go. And then she went out there and she attracted her now husband. Why? Because she felt, see, there's two different types of women. I'm in a relationship space, so I got to add this. There's two types of women. There's women who go through a certain amount of suffering and they turn around and say, I'm not going to ask for any help because nobody in my life has helped me in the past. So why should I ask for any help? Because all they're going to do is disappoint me. And she runs away from men. She runs away from relationships in the season that she's going through turmoil, right? But another type of woman like Candace, she recognizes that I can't do this by myself. I need a man. I need a husband. I can't keep going through this. And then that woman searches for her husband, because all a woman really needs to do, to be honest with you, is to make herself available, to position herself in an environment that another guy that is in that same type of environment would be like, you're cute. Can I take you out? That simple. And that guy could turn around and end up being your husband. But if you stay in the house, or if you say suffering, or if you suffer in silence, you finding your husband is never going to happen, because in your mind, you're thinking like, since I'm suffering, I need to stay in the house. I need to stay away from people. No, when you're suffering, that's when you need to be out with people. So somebody out there can help you, right? So accept help, unless it's Mossad, of course. So yeah. So shout out to Candace for traveling out, because unlike the stalker that showed up in Applebee's trying to give her some money, and she recognized that they didn't mean well. But instead of that, she went out and put herself in the UK in order for her husband to be able to find her. So shout out to Candace, but her husband is not her handler. Her husband, because somebody said that in the chat, her husband is her protector of her handler. And in my opinion, if she didn't have George Farmer, she probably would not. I'm not going to say certain. I'm not going to say certain things. I'm not going to say certain things. But we're going to get into that in a minute. But let's keep going.
And he wrote in writing, I'm going to marry Candace Owens. To Jewish people who he said were messing with his life. Rabbi Shmuley was on the list. I can't think of the other people that were on it, and that they called him an anti-Semite. They called him an anti-Semite because he was talking about control in Hollywood and people that he was fighting for control. He had a lot to do with the Michael Jackson stuff, because he called himself Michael Jackson's rabbi, and really kind of is just a person that is constantly threatening people out in the open and is somehow allowed.
You hear that right? Michael Jackson's what? Michael Jackson's rabbi. Another one of them.
not to do it because of what his father did for the state of Israel. And often you will find that thread of the people who are the most deranged and the most psychopathic and yet somehow seem to be allowed to function in society. You just have to figure out who their parents were, who their uncles were, and they've done something for the state of Israel. So they're like in the Zionist mafia, as I describe it. It is a mafia.
What was Kanye saying?
Well, Kanye, he notoriously tweeted that he was going to go DEFCON 3 on people that had been toying with his life. And nobody cared when he dropped the actual text messages from his trainer, Harley Pasternak, saying that he would put him back in the hospital and he'd never be able to see his kids again. He drops the messages. We talk about a gangster threat. Like, here's how it's going to go. Harley Pasternak is a trainer. And
a personal trainer was Kanye West's handler. So the person could be your personal trainer.
And Kanye was basically, before I was awake to this possibility, I was very much around him when this was all going down, when he tweeted this and when Adidas pulled his contract, he was at my house and all the stuff that was going on. And he was basically, I just thought I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like very green to this concept of someone saying that their life was a Truman Show. And he was like, basically like, are you a real person? Like, even to me, are you a real person? Like, and I'm like, are you good? Like, what do you mean? Like, you think I'm a character in a show? Are you real? He was going through this. At its core is he felt like someone was directing his life and that the people had been controlling him. He was going to stand up to these people, but Harley Pasternak was his trainer. I've covered this on my show. He's got a very checkered past. A lot of his clients have died in suspicious circumstances.
I want you to think about how stupid you have to be, because I don't like Kanye. I think Kanye makes the best music, but I personally think Kanye is an idiot. I want you to think about this. And here's the reason why I think Kanye is an idiot. Has always been. He's a great performer. He's a great writer. He's a great producer, but I think he's an idiot. Here's the reason why. Kanye West, why does he need a personal trainer? Kanye West ain't got no damn muscles. Why do you need a personal trainer? You ain't got no muscles. Like, you're not muscular. So why do you need a personal trainer? Because your personal trainer didn't help you get any muscles. I've never in my life seen Kanye West like with muscles. So apparently your personal trainer is not doing anything. So one, why the hell do you need a personal trainer? And you're not doing anything. You don't have any gains. All right. That's the first thing. Just go to the gym. What the hell you need a personal trainer for? The second thing is your personal trainer has clients that have died, multiple clients. You're a personal trainer and your clients are dying. Why in the world would Kanye, because I think Kanye is an idiot, would you hire a personal trainer and you look at their resume and 7 people on your resume are dead? What? Why would you hire that guy as a personal trainer? And you already know, when you're famous and you got a lot of money, a personal trainer is usually like the world-renowned personal trainer or the personal trainer of the stars. So whoever your personal trainer is, they have a resume and you can easily look at the resume of the people that they work with. And if 5 or 7 of those people on the resume are dead, why in the Sam hell would you hire that man to be your personal trainer? And then when he's your personal trainer, you don't get no damn muscles. What are we doing? And there was another video talking about his personal trainer. He had this relationship with a personal trainer where he was like, no, I'm not going to let you kill me. Which means he would be arguing with his personal trainer because he's thinking his personal trainer is trying to kill him, but he was still his personal trainer. His personal trainer is the one that put him in an insane asylum. So you're working with a personal trainer. You don't get no muscles. So the personal trainer is not doing anything because you're not gaining any muscle. And then the personal trainer has people that are dead on the resume. And then you're arguing with your personal trainer that he's trying to kill you too, or send you back to the insane asylum. Why do you still have this man as a personal trainer? That's the reason why I think Kanye West is an idiot, or he's stupid, something, I don't know. So I don't like Kanye West. I think he's an idiot, but that's just my opinion. He makes great music, but I personally think Kanye West is a pure idiot. All right, super cornball. I don't like Kanye West as a person. He makes great music though. All right, let's keep going.
He also was like former Canadian CIA, like psychology or something.
Another thing, the personal trainer of the stars is former CIA. Why are you a personal trainer and you're former CIA? Okay, let me ask you a question. Would you hire this former CIA agent as a personal trainer if you were rich and famous? Yes or no in the chat. Am I crazy? Yes or no in the chat. Would you hire an not this guy, but just any ex-CIA agent as your damn personal trainer? Wouldn't you look at them and say, why are you a personal trainer and you're from the CIA? What happened in your life for you to go from here to here? What is happening? So this is all I'm saying. That's why I think Kanye West is an idiot.
And then decided to go be a gym trainer in LA or in Hollywood. And these are handlers. Handlers are real. This is a part of the onion of the Zionist mafia, in my view, is the handlers who are supposed to see if they can bring you back to the side of reason. Can't you see the error of your ways? And even when you're completely right, their job is to gaslight you into thinking that you're wrong.
Exactly. But I'm not asking my personal trainer for any life advice. So shut up, personal trainer, and train me and teach me how to get some abs. Why are you giving me life advice, personal trainer? Shut up and help me get abs.
And I've had my experience. I believe that I had handlers and didn't recognize it. But Kanye, when he kind of really woke up to that, Harley Pasternak, he shared the message that Harley Pasternak, his trainer, gym trainer.
All right, so she just admitted that her, Kanye West, and Charlie Kirk all had handlers.
Wrote to him and he said, here's how it's going to go. Maybe he said, you're going to say sorry or something. And then the message reads, or I'll take you back to Cedar Sinai, because Harley Pasternak is the one that got Kanye put on a Psych 5150 hold when they drugged him.
So I want you to think about this. Another reason why Kanye West is an idiot. You're a personal trainer now. Not your assistant, not your daddy, not your wife. Your personal trainer sent you to the insane asylum. And then when you get out of the insane asylum, he's still your personal trainer. What are we doing here? He's still your personal trainer after he sent you to the insane asylum, and then he's still your personal trainer, and he's threatening to send you back to the place he's. Huh? Am I crazy? Am I missing something?
Oh, no. Aren't you something? That's not my experience. Not at all.
That's Kanye West talking to the personal trainer. That's what the personal trainer said. Are you trying to kill me? And the personal trainer said,
Oh, oh, no, no.
like, what are we doing? I don't know. I don't know. But that's the reason why I think Kanye West is an idiot. I'm sorry. And I am going to have to make this, of course, a part 3 because Baron is about to go live at 6 o'clock or 6:30 or whatever. So I want to get out of Baron's way and have y'all go to Baron. But so I'm going to play the rest of this and I'll just do what else? The other part I have with Baron about Baron in part 3. So let's keep going.
And he said, and we'll take you back to, I think he described it as La La Land. And he said, and play dates with your kids will never be the same. We'll drive you out of your mind.
Holy shit.
It's in writing. And the media just let it go. And said Kanye was crazy. I said, no, Harley Pasternack's crazy. Who the hell is this man? It's not how a gym trainer talks. Who is this guy?
Holy shit.
And so when stars, Hollywood.
And I'm tired of Sean Ryan saying holy shit every time somebody says something. I went and took a piss and I made a mistake and peed on my leg. Holy shit. Like, bro.
Stars have been screaming and trying to tell you that something is wrong and that they suddenly wake up to the fact that they're in a prison. The first thing that happens is another layer of the onion comes out and calls them crazy. That's how that works. They say this person's having an emotional breakdown. They diagnose the people. And the reason for that is because it was that strategy of modern psychology was developed by Sigmund Freud, who was
oh, y'all listen to this. This is crazy.
a Satanist, full stop, the occult, Sebastian Frankism. And he began gaslighting kids who by their parents in Vienna. That is the true story of Sigmund Freud. There's a book.
Sigmund Freud gaslighted tadpoles that were being blanked by their own parents. And he ran some type of school or operation where he told the kids that what is happening to them is okay on their parents' behalf.
On it by the man who controlled his archives called The Assault on Truth. And so they developed, Sigmund Freud's contribution to society is gaslighting. He created gaslighting. So you can draw a direct line from Sigmund Freud to Hollywood to...
I said Sigmund Freud. I didn't say Sigmund Floyd. I said Freud.
Modern propaganda. His nephew is Edward Bernays. The World War II propaganda, all of that, that's Edward Bernays. To PR that we have today. That the Freud family is still the biggest PR family in the world. They do PR for the royal family. I mean, Matthew Freud. And this is where we're at, is gaslighting is another onion piece of a layer. So when you realize someone's wronged you and you say, this is wrong, they then send people to try to make you think that you're the crazy person.
And that is the psychological operation that they allegedly teach at Fort Huachuca. I got to bring it back to Fort Huachuca. I got to bring it back to Turning Point USA. This is the reason why Erica Kirk keeps working with all these military pastors, because these military people have learned this Sigmund Freud type of operation, psychological operation of manipulation and gaslighting. And then they become pastors and they do this same psychological operation to the people in the church. And they teach the people in the church that doing this is good, even though you fundamentally think it's bad. And this is what Sigmund Freud actually taught these people to do.
And I dealt with that firsthand.
And it's in a book.
Saw how the mafia moves, trying to convince me that I had done something wrong when I tweeted always wrong. The messages were insane that I received. I had to read my tweet like 1,000 times and go, did I say something in here? It is always wrong.
Mm-hmm. Holy shit.
Here you go. Holy shit. And I just want to say this. A lot of people got mad at me when I said I don't trust churches. This is one of the many reasons why I don't trust churches. All right. Christ is king. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. But I do not believe in churches. Some churches are good, but this is one of the reasons why I am fundamentally against churches, because I don't know who the hell this dude is, where he came from, and who sent him. And this random ass dude that just has a good ass church band. Because sometimes that the church band be lit. Put a one in the chat. If you've been to a church and the church band is like amazing, make you feel good. I don't care. I'm not going. Because I have went to church just for the church band. And it is awesome. But whoever this dude is in front of me telling me all this shit, I don't know who you are, and I don't know where you came from, and I don't know who sent you. So because of that, I am not going to anybody's church unless somebody dies. So you see me in the church, I either just got married or somebody's dead. I ain't going to no damn church.
Who do you think your handlers were?
I think
How close to you were they?
they were all. I mean, it was very apparent that it was all around me. I think probably the most skilled handler, and was Marissa. I didn't realize until that moment that, she messaged me and said, like, I want to help you. You don't want to go down this route. If you go down this route, I can't protect you. And I stood up for myself and the messages. And I said, Marissa, go down what route? Like, what am I doing here that's wrong?
Right.
I'm a grown adult woman. I know what I'm saying. I believe genocide is always wrong. I mean, this was all via text message, so I still have it.
Who's Marissa?
Marissa is the CEO of Prager University, PragerU. And then, of course, the Daily Wire, who were trying to convince me that I owed Ben an apology. I mean, watching that psychological element of them trying to convince me that I had done something wrong was insane. And Dave Rubin was messaging me. It was just full on, everyone trying to explain to me, like, let me help you. It's always the approach of, like, I'm your friend, and I'm trying to help you realize the error of your ways. And it's just full-blown gaslighting. And I stood firm on it and was like, no, I know what I wrote. Turning Point changed. After it was a couple of factors at play, but Turning Point, like I said to you, I always love a startup vibe. It's fun, there's more freedom. And after the Kanye tweet, and I'm saying this reflectively, hindsight's 2020, everything changed. Like, Turning Point was suddenly on the map. Kanye put it on the map. Whether people want to recognize that or not, suddenly everyone's going, who is this Candace Owens? I love the way Candace Owens thinks. Well, Candace Owens was working for Turning Point USA. And suddenly money started coming in. They started telling, Charlie needed the PR person, he needed this person, he needed to get this woman, Stacey Sheridan, and donations. I mean, just like the whole thing became much more corporatized. And I had warned Charlie I didn't like some of the characters that were being brought around him. And he would take the abuses from the donors. The bigger the check, the more control. The bigger the check, the more control. The bigger the check, the more control.
And she's saying that about Charlie Kirk, not about her. But she admitted to being under control of Mossad people, and she knowingly was working with and for the Mossad. And it was a bigger check than Turning Point USA, and she left Turning Point USA for a bigger check. Maybe she woke up and maybe she, became a more enlightened person. You could do that. So I'm not against that. But just going by what she's saying, the bigger the check, the more control. So they gave you a bigger check and then they started trying to control you. And then you're like, yo, I'm a grown woman. Why can't I do this? The bigger the check, the more control. Like, you just said it yourself, Candace. You just said it yourself.
The person that I think I placed stock in was Trump. And we got played. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Trump desperately, by any means necessary, wanted to win again. Felt the election, like many people do feel, was a stolen from him in 2020.
He desperately wanted to win again.
COVID, changing the way we vote. I totally agree with that, by the way. And his entire life's mission then transformed into, I will do anything to win again, including making a deal with the devil and selling my soul.
That's what you think happened.
And he took $300 million from Miriam Adelson, something that he once mocked Marco Rubio for doing. He tweeted once about Sheldon Adelson owning Marco Rubio. You don't take $300 million from people who run Vegas and tell them no about anything. That's how it works. That you can talk about that on the micro level. You know this stuff growing up, basic survival skills. Like when people, you don't borrow money from people unless you know who they are. Like, and that can apply to gangs,
Yep, you're right. You don't borrow money from anybody because unless it's a bank, of course.
It's time to pay up. And so Trump is not his own man, plain and simple. Trump is not running this administration. It wasn't a gift. It wasn't, hey, I really love what you're doing. Here's $300 million.
Which is absolutely crazy.
It came with contingencies, demands, one of it being that they wanted to annex the West Bank, which was something that was told to me by Charlie and Andrew Colbert, who were present for that meeting between Mary Madelson and Donald Trump, that she said that. I'll cut you this check. But when we want to annex the West Bank, now I think he probably has a little bit of regret taking the money.
You think so?
I think so. I don't think he likes not being his own man. I think that's what a lot of the lashing out is about. I think Trump, at his core, wants to be liked, and I think he knows he's not liked right now.
You think he'll ever be liked again?
No.
Me neither.
Mm-mm.
So I have a lot more to share, and I want to go deeper down this rabbit hole, but I wanted to stop at 6:00. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel and share this video out and hype the video, because the hype button is more important than the like button now. So make sure to hype this video if you enjoyed the show. And I'm going to do part 3 maybe tomorrow and break down this a little deeper, because one of the things I didn't talk about in depth is how this company targets people, ruins their lives, and makes everything go away. The systematic side of this and what they actually did with Charlie Kirk. So the next episode of this series is going to be about Charlie Kirk in particular, and how Andrew Colbert and his buddy, Johnny, whatever his name is, infiltrated, allegedly, Turning Point USA, and Charlie Kirk started fighting them. And once they started fighting Charlie Kirk, it was time to just get him out of here, which means somebody other than Tyler Robinson unalived Charlie. So the next episode is going to point at a group that I think got Charlie up out of here. So I will talk to you later. I don't know if Baron is live yet. Let's see if Baron is live, because Baron said he was going live at around 6. Okay, so Baron is live. So everybody go over to Baron's show right now, and let me do this if I could do it fast enough. What I'm going to do is hang out right here for about another 5 minutes, and when I leave this show, Baron is going to actually show up on your screen, so you don't have to go over to Baron's show. Let me hit redirect. So let's see if this works. Hold on, y'all. Do not go anywhere yet. What? Okay, here we go. Here it is. All right. So I just set the redirect. I think it'll work. All right. So when I end this show, you're miraculously and magically going to end up on Baron's show right after this show stops. So I'm out of here. And when you get into Baron's show, tell Baron Mr. Let Go sent me. So everybody say Mr. Let Go sent me when you go to Baron's podcast. All right. Talk to y'all later. So this live stream should go away. And next thing you know, you're going to appear on Baron's show. I think. Hopefully it works. All right. Talk to y'all later. And make sure to say Baron sent me. I mean, not Baron. Everybody say Mr. Let Go sent me in the chat. All right. Talk to y'all later. Look out for tomorrow's show.